So, if you watched my most anticipated movies of 2019 video, you know Spider-Man Far From Home was pretty high up there. Cause hey, I love the MCU, and I love Homecoming, and I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, so I was pretty excited to see a proper first look at this film. Was the trailer great? Was it disappointing? Let's talk about it.
Are you going to step up or not?
Yeah, the trailer was great. Still super excited for this. First of all, let's go through my thoughts on some of the reveals in this trailer. The first one being that Aunt May is actually supportive of Peter being Spider-Man, which I actually really like. I was expecting her to, at the very best, tolerate it, but the fact that she's actually helping him with it is a fun twist. And it seems like she's not so much helping with the actual crime fighting, but she sees Spider-Man as a sort of mascot for helping with other causes. Which again, fun twist, didn't see it coming, and that way it's not, completely against her character. Speaking of Aunt May though, she's now in a relationship sort of thing with Happy Hogan, I guess. Which I'd heard about before this, and I didn't really know how to feel about it, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal in this film. I think it's more there to provide some comedy, because I doubt Happy's going to become like Peter's new Uncle Ben or Tony Stark sort of father figure. In the last movie, they had a fun friendship where most of the time he was just generally irritated by Peter, so to see him move into Peter's life in such a big way, I think will lead to a lot of funny moments. And who knows, maybe something actually a bit sweet for May and Happy as characters. And maybe Peter and Happy will end up having a nice moment or something, I don't know. Point is, don't have a problem with it. Also, now that I've just mentioned Uncle Ben, we actually get a proper Uncle Ben reference with Peter using his old briefcase. I've heard some theories that we'll actually see him in this film, in a Mysterio-created illusion. I'd be okay with that, although I feel like the Spidey has done pretty well already without having that whole origin. But hey, it's a big part of the character, and to see it get its quick time in the MCU in a way that also works for the plot could totally work. I don't know how emotional of a moment they can make it though, considering for the MCU, we don't really have any attachment to Uncle Ben already. But hey, we'll see. There's also the question of who would play Uncle Ben, and I just want to say, I don't think it should be Tobey Maguire, because sure, it'd be kind of funny, but I also think unless they handled it really, really well, it'd be super goofy and like a comedy skit. It would likely undercut any emotion in that scene, which probably should have some emotion. Anyway, still on the characters, I'm still loving Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker.
Peter Parker here to pick up a passport, please.
He's likable and relatable, and I'm really invested in his story, especially after Homecoming, so I can't wait to see what comes next. I love all the high school stuff we see here. I really love this premise of Peter's class going on this international field trip, because not only is it a fun, relatable high school kind of thing, but it's new and different. Yes, there are tons of great Spider-Man stories to be told in New York, but seeing him go around the world, I don't know, that's exciting to me. So far, it also looks like he'll have great chemistry with MJ. The romance is often not the strongest part of these superhero films, but here, based on the trailer and that first film, I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm also happy to see more Ned, and it seems like Ned might have a relationship with that girl from The Nice Guys, who played a very minor role in the first film. I think that could give some fun moments, especially Peter and Ned trying to figure out both their relationships. As far as the more superhero parts of this, that Spidey suit in action, yes, I can understand why people say it looks a bit CG, but I really don't mind it. Especially in the movie itself, I at least settle into it, and it doesn't really distract me or take me out of the action. Also love the new suit with the black instead of the blue. The stealth suit also looks pretty cool. We see Avengers Tower under construction in the background, and people have been speculating what they're turning that into. Some people have said the Baxter Building. I don't think so. I'm just not sure if that Fox deal has gone through yet. I feel like it's a little too soon. I think a more plausible idea is that it's going to be the Oscorp building, and maybe throughout the film they kind of reference the construction going on there, and then in the post-credit scene it pulls back and reveals what it actually is. I don't know, could be cool. Also, I loved it when they used that epic orchestral version of the iconic, super cheesy Spider-Man cartoon theme in the Homecoming opening, and I was happy to hear it in this again. I hope we get more of it in the actual film, although I do actually like the MCU Spider-Man theme, but it's definitely not as memorable as this one that most people already know. Then, one of the bigger reveals in the trailer that most people who'd seen the set photos already knew, Maria Hill and Nick Fury are in this, but in this trailer, it's mostly Nick Fury. I thought the MCU was kinda done with Nick Fury, but no, if anything, he's bigger now than ever. He's in Captain Marvel and Far From Home, and might cameo in those TV shows, and hey, I've got no problem with that. I love Sam Jackson, and especially because of Winter Soldier, I really like this character. I also really enjoyed his entrance, and I guess it's just that kind of superhero movie thing of we've never seen these two characters together, so seeing them meet is cool. But it was pretty cool, as a big fan of the MCU. Almost a bit Iron Man 1-esque. On that Nick Fury note, I could be slightly off here, but from what I'm picking up on in this, and also the international trailer, is that the central conflict of this movie is essentially going to be the opposite of the last one, which I think is really interesting. In Homecoming, Peter wanted to be an Avenger really badly, and wanted to keep helping as Spider-Man and doing bigger scale stuff. Here it seems like Peter really just wants to have a nice, normal vacation, hang out with his friends, hang out with MJ, and then everyone around him is pushing him to be Spider-Man and do more of that crazy superhero stuff. There's Aunt May being on his side and packing his suit even though he left it behind, which I could just be reading too much into. Then there's Fury being like, we've got a job to do. Come on, let's do it. And I think that's a fascinating conflict for this character who's finally learned to step down and is trying to have a normal life, for it then to be hijacked by all this superhero stuff again. And I'm excited to see how that plays out. Then as far as villains, people are saying this could be Sandman? I guess, although I'm under the impression these are all just illusions created by the real villain. So I don't know if they would make Sandman that kind of villain, just created for a fight by another villain, but I don't know much about the comics, and I'm sure there are lots of people out there who know exactly what's going on, and how this thing relates to these other elemental monsters. Please don't tell me though, because I'd rather go into this not knowing that. One of my only real gripes with the trailer, and this is a very minor nitpick thing, but when Peter gets punched by the water, his slide back looks very awkward and slow and like he's on wires or something. Maybe it's the editing, but that just kinda took me out of it for a sec. Anyway, the biggest reveal in this trailer is Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, who looks pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, the suit looks kinda goofy, but it's a comic book suit. This is a comic book world. It's based off this. What do you want? Minor spoiler for the film, if you don't know anything about Mysterio, I guess. I'm assuming most people know this, but I guess minor spoiler. From my understanding, he's going to have kind of a syndrome type plan from The Incredibles. That being, he creates all these minor villains that he can defeat so he looks like a hero, and it's probably for some evil purposes, and he's actually the real villain. That's interesting, and kind of unique for an MCU villain. I love Jake Gyllenhaal, so I'm excited about that, and his powers look pretty cool. Also, I know it's almost certainly not related, but that looks a lot like Doctor Strange's time powers. Now, a real kind of spoiler for this and Avengers Endgame, kind of, I guess. I mean, everything's still kind of up in the air, and I'm mostly speculating here, and this is all based off stuff Marvel has officially said, but I guess another kind of spoiler thing. I'm going to talk about when this movie is set. Now, clearly, they're trying to sell this to the general public as a prequel to Infinity War. I mean, I showed this to some friends, and even they said, wait, I thought he died. So I'm guessing they want everyone to think this happens beforehand. However, a while back, I believe it was Kevin Feige, actually said this takes place right after Avengers 4. So I mean, surprise, the snap wasn't permanent, apparently. But, hey, for one, Marvel said a bunch of stuff before that has turned out not to be true, just to mislead fans, so who knows. But also, I don't think that's the case. I mean, come on, are you really surprised? That's kind of how movies go, especially superhero movies, especially MCU movies. They're making all these shows and all these movies about the dead characters, the entire universe is basically ruined. I mean, of course they're gonna reverse the snap. I'm still sticking with that other dimension theory, although as more news comes out, that's starting to seem a tad unlikely. It could also just be the same universe that they've time traveled through, who knows, we'll see when that movie comes out. Overall though, Far From Home looks exactly like what I was hoping it would look like. It looks funny and light in tone, it appears to have some more interesting conflict for Peter Parker, action looks cool, villain looks great, looks awesome. So those are my thoughts on the Far From Home trailer. What did you think of it? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, check out my Instagram and Twitter at BHL_Hudson. Check out this podcast about movies and TV and whatnot I do with a friend of mine. It's called The Poorly Planned Podcast. And subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.